Welcome to the Play Big podcast with Coach Curtis Dean. Coach Curtis is a certified life and health coach. Coach Curtis's passion is to help everyone reach their highest potential. If you're stuck in a rut in your career, relationship, or personal growth, Coach Curtis will challenge you to play big through transformational habit change coaching. Coach Curtis will help you clarify your goals, identify your obstacles, and design strategies to overcome them. So get ready, get pumped up, and let's play big. Hey, welcome, everyone. It is time to play bigger with the Play Big coach. It's Coach Curtis. We have tonight is totally different. Instead of us having to bring people up and flash back and forth, we got the whole group here tonight. We got a special episode for you talking about love and relationships. I have my beautiful wife, Joan, who most of y'all like better than me anyway, so that's okay. We have Kim and Don. I only know you as the princess. I'm sorry.
That's why everybody knows as the
Kim
princess.
And the princess, Varner, they are here with us tonight. We're going to be talking about love and relationships. Valentine's Day is coming up. But for those of you who are worried, this is not all going to be, flowers and balloons. We're going to talk about all that real. We're going to talk about how to get through some hard parts of your relationship, how to stick together as a couple, because, the important thing, anybody can get together in the beginning, right? Anybody can be happy in the beginning when, you're having those good first dates. You're having that good. You all know what I'm talking about, that good. That's all the beginning, right? And until, all that new wears off and reality sets in and bills come due and the children are aggravating and, the kitchen's got to be cleaned and the dishes got to be done and the laundry got to be folded. That's when the real hits, right? So we're going to talk about all those kind of things, how we've navigated some of those issues. We're going to talk about some with my beautiful wife, how she and I have gotten through some of our issues, mostly on her part, not mine. I'm pretty awesome on my end, but, we do what we can. I want to start off with Kim and the princess. Let them talk a little bit. Tell us their story, how they came to be, how long they've been together, and just whatever they want to share.
You want to start it off, baby? I figured that's much.
Remember, we're just sitting here talking amongst friends. Don't worry about all that. Yeah. This is we're just talking
like we were doing
friends.
Before.
Yep.
But so I'll start off by saying I'm a retired cop. I worked for the sheriff's office for 26 years. After retiring, I was retired in 2010. In 2012, I think it was, I went to work for the public defender's office. When I get to the public defender's office, they give you the first day that you're there working, they give you a form. You have to go around and get all the supervisors in the building to sign off of. Donna, she was a supervisor. She still is a supervisor in the building. But, I just started working there. So I go to her office and I go get the form signed off on. Actually, I go down. She's not there. I head back up to my office. I shoot her email. Hey, my name is Kim Varner. I'm no employee. I need to get you signed off on my form. She was the last one I had. And then the girl who got hired with me, we were kind of competing to see who can get their form signed off first. So, I call down and I leave this message with I'm trying to outsmart the other girl. I shoot an email. Just let me know when you're back and I'll come down. And her Donna was assistant to one of the well-known attorneys in the office, Fred Gonzalez. So when you go in I knew Fred. I didn't know Donna. So I walk in the office. She hits me back, say, hey, I'm in the office. You can come down now. I go downstairs. I give her the form, and her name's on the door, Donna Miller. So I'm expecting that sounds like a black person's name. So I walk in.
He ain't wrong. It does.
I walk in. I said, "Are you Donna Miller?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, okay. That sounds like a white person." So she looked at me like I was crazy, and I guess I was crazy for the first time meeting her, saying something like that. But anyway, so it kind of broke the ice. But anyway, she was nice looking. She's very attractive, and I didn't say anything to her. I kept it professional. I walked in. I said, "Okay, well, here's my form." She signs off on it. I told her thank you, and I walk out to her office. As soon as I her, you're gonna wife her. You're gonna, I don't know if it's gonna be a one night stand, what it's gonna be, but you're gonna link up with her some kind of way. And I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna link up with her some kind of way. So
we said.
That's how. And I went upstairs immediately, and I told the three guys that was working with me in the mitigation department at the public defender's office. I told them 3 guys that we jailed real good together, and I told them, I said, hey man, the lady I just met downstairs, man, I think something's gonna happen between us, you know. They're like, no, not Donna. Donna had this reputation in the office, not being bougie, but just being real professional and everything, you know. And no, you won't link up with that, man. You won't link up with that, you know. So I said, no, man, I'm telling you, something's gonna happen between us. Something's gonna happen. I don't know what it's gonna be. And I told them the same thing, you know, dating, you know, marrying or whatever the case may be. So you won't link up with her. So sure enough, a couple of days went by. My office is on the 6th floor. Her office is on the 2nd floor. There are break rooms on both floors.
Oh, okay.
And the one upstairs, you know, you had certain people, it was the big break room. So certain people came up there for their break and to eat and all that, eat lunch or whatever. Donna never came down there. She was so professional. She would always eat at her desk, or either she'll go to the break room on her floor and eat. So I noticed she started coming upstairs eating on the 6th floor. So when you come off, you have to card yourself into this door. And I say this because I can always hear people when they're coming in, because I hear that door, you know, the little noise it makes. So my office, as soon as you come in, you card yourself, come in that door, you come in, you make a left, and you go probably 10 feet, and there's my doorway. I can see everybody who walked by going to the break room. So I start noticing, you know, seeing her up there coming back to the break room. And I think I'd gone down and said some little things, you know, I don't know. But anyway, we started dating. And let me back up a little bit. And I think that's one reason why our relationship is the way it is, because we got to know each other first.
There you go.
We didn't, you know, of course I was flirting with her. I was divorced at the time. And I was flirting with her, and I was like, you know, trying to get her. She walk past my desk. She always stop and wave as she walks by. I'm like, hey, you know, you can come in. You know, you ain't gonna wave and go by. You remember that? You can come in. I won't bite you that hard. You know, you can come in. So she started, and then she'll stop at the doorway, stop right in the doorway, and she'll talk to me. And then she'll go on and do what she's doing, and she'll head back down. Okay, see you later. You know, and I was like, I got to get her in my office. So finally, as time went on, got her to start coming and stepping aside.
Did y'all not have HR back then?
Actually,
we still have HR.
The funny part is they're right around the corner. I was on the administrative floor. I was on the administrative floor. They're right around the corner from me. So, but anyway, I eventually got her to start coming in my office. Then I worked on getting her to sit down for a minute, you know. So it was a gradual thing, and it took about a year and maybe almost 2 years before we started dating after about a year or so. Right. And but we kept it on the low. And then we went ahead and linked up and started dating. Didn't care who knew about it or whatever. And so how did y'all keep it on the low? Because she is such a talker. You know, she just. You know, a funny thing about it, we went to court one day. we went to court. Yeah, she laughed about it. We went to court one day, and one of the attorneys that worked in the office was real close to us, you know, and we should do a lot of stuff together. And nobody knew in the office that we were dating each other, really. You know, we still keeping on the low. Fred Gonzalez was her attorney. She was a personal assistant for. He was like one of the division chiefs around there. So he had a case that I was working. I was the investigator and mitigator on that particular case, a homicide case. So this guy was going to a court. And so I told, you know, and I was wondering what his outcome was going to be. So myself, Donna, 3 other people that worked in the office, Joan Paget, Darcy Gayla. Gayla was she sat the chair at Fred. So we get there, and Darcy, you got to know Darcy and Joanna. Those are 2 people that are just have you in stitches the whole time. The whole time they have you in stitches. They're my friends on Facebook now and do a lot with them. But anyway, we go to court, and Darcy's, of course, sitting up there with the defendant, and Fred and defendant and Darcy. And Donna and I sitting back there on the first bench is me, Donna, Joanne, Angie Judah, and somebody else is sitting back there. And Darcy would look back every now and then, and she finally sent me this text going, "You guys are totally each other," you know. And we just cracked up about it. You know, her out to this day we laugh about it, you know. But she figured it out that we were seeing each other and all. So afterwards, you know, we said we got to hide it from y'all. You know, we're just trying to keep everybody in the office from knowing at this time.
Exactly.
And it ended up, you know, eventually just got to the point where we didn't care who knew. And I got to say, man, that we've been together. We dated we friended each other for a while, and then we dated. Yeah. And then we dated for a year or so. Mm-hmm. And then we finally, you know, talked about getting married. We got married. We've been together now 4 years, and nice. In March it'll be August. I'm sorry, August 27th it'll be 5 years. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, August 27th it'll be we're coming up our 5th year anniversary. I got to say that to this day I've never had a heated argument with her And that's you know, that's weird for me, but I love it. You know, I love it. Well, to this day, we I think it was because we got to know each other. You know, a lot of times you that physical attraction takes place, or the mental and the spiritual and all that. And but we actually got to know each other. She actually came to my church. I used to do praise dance at my church, and she came to the church and saw me.
Write that down. Something else he do. Write that down.
I'll add it to the list.
For y'all that don't know, this man doesn't know how to retire very well. Like he said, he's retired. He's had like 12 jobs since he retired. Every time I look at my face, I say, "Oh, he done." I got a list on what has KB done. You know. It's funny because Joan and I we'll jump ahead in our story a little bit, but we had one of those times. We had opened a new restaurant with McDonald's. We both work for McDonald's. So I'm having a manager's meeting, right? Mm-hmm. And so this one guy's name was Bill Dean. I'll never forget. So we're having a meeting. I'm talking
same
about
last name, Dean?
Yeah, same last name. And no relation
at all.
And he looks up and he goes, this meeting is over. I said, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I'm in charge here, and I'll let you know when this meeting is over. He said, Joan's here. I said, all right, guys, we're done now. So, and we got up and walked off because they knew it before we did. They knew it before I did that things were the tide was starting to change a little bit. So, any questions, guys, so far? Nikki says she's loving to love. All right, Nikki, you're getting your own story right now. You're writing your own love story. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to hear all about it. We're going to get you on the show one day. By the way, not next week, but the week after when we do our next show, we had Coach Sarah scheduled to be with us. That's not going to work out. She had some difficulties with her job. So Coach Beth Ann, if you remember my very first guest with the turkey hat, can't forget her.
Yes.
She is going to be on. Her and her husband have a great love story, and this is February. We're going to be talking about love and relationships. They're going to be on with us. But I'll bring y'all up to speed kind of on Joan and I. And so I had went through a horrible divorce. Landed in Orlando, Florida, and I had went to work for this owner-operator for McDonald's. He had one restaurant, and so he got another restaurant in Kissimmee, Florida, down in what they call BVL, which is a hugely Hispanic neighborhood. So we go down there, and we're having a manager's meeting with all the new managers. We're sitting at this table right inside the door, and so in walks this girl. Now, she is 9 months pregnant. She got on a pair of flip-flops. She got on a pair of just baggy shorts and a tank. And when you're 9 months pregnant, you're just miserable. You know, she was just trying to get through the next couple of weeks to have this baby. She walked in, she stopped at the table. She was there to get her last paycheck before she came back from maternity leave. And she smiled and changed my entire life. She smiled and the whole room lit up. And so me and Leo, the guy I work with, we were kind of leading the meeting and talking to these new managers. She talked for a while. She went and got her check and she left. And so this one lady who I didn't know was like her best friend, she said, "Are you okay?" She said, this is another old country saying that she hates. She said, "You sitting there grinning like a mule eating briars. You know, what is going on?" And I said, well, I don't know how to tell you all this. I said, but I just met the girl that I'm going to marry and spend the rest of my life with. And the table just got quiet because they all knew her. And Kathy said, well, number one, she's pregnant with another man's baby. She's going to marry that man, and they're going to have their whole life together. She said, what about that? I said, I don't know what to tell you about all that. I'm not saying anything disrespectful to him. What I'm telling you is I have just met the woman that has changed my life. That's who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
It's funny, you know it.
I did.
You know it.
From that moment when she smiled, she didn't smile at me. She just smiled. And her smile broke up the whole room. And I knew it right then. I was like, this is the woman. Now, it took me 5 years to convince her that she was the woman. There were fights. There was some long talks. We were friends, but we always had a little feud going on. And the funny part was everybody in the company knew it. Her husband knew it. My wife knew it. I got married during this time. She got married during this time. The woman I was with knew that I was in love with her. It was just always a company joke, you know. I had a horrible divorce, and I know some of y'all are thinking, "Wow, relationship coach on your third marriage." Slow your roll. I've been married 25 years this time. It just took me a little while to get it right. So Karen we were talking about this earlier. Karen's a fantastic woman. She's an architect. She was beautiful, but we should have just stayed friends. You know, we got along great. Once we actually got together and got married, we realized, you know, there was a lot of things we didn't talk about. We had a lot of differences, you know. So we started going our separate ways. Joan and her husband started going their separate ways. And we were at this bar one night. It was my 36th birthday. Down in Orlando, there's a place called Blazing Pianos. Right, it was one of those.
Not there anymore.
Yeah,
sadly.
It's one of those places where they had the 2 pianos up on the bar, and the guys would play and sing songs. So we had this whole front, like 20, 30 of us there, right in front of the stage. Got me up on the stage. I had to do the chicken dance. I was drunk. It was horrible.
Now you're gonna have to get it right.
What?
The story.
Which part of it?
You're getting close to the end. You got to get it right.
Now, see, here's where it gets good because I have a different.
You were drunk.
I was drunk. Lord, I don't do shots, boys and girls. They made me do shots that night.
No. Nobody made you do anything. You were a grown-ass adult.
I went to the bathroom. It was one of those bathrooms where it had the alcove where when you walk in, you go to the men's room this way and the ladies' room this. She's coming out and I'm going in. And I stopped her and I said, I just want you to know. I said, I know it's always been the company joke the whole time we've been together that I'm madly in love with you, right? And that I would marry you. I said, but I don't know if it's because I'm drunk or what the whole thing is going. I said, but it's never been a joke to me. I said, I've loved you since the moment I saw you. And if you had told me that day, right then, to leave and go with you, or if you told me right now to leave and go with you, I would go. My recollection of the story and hers are a little bit different. Now, what did I say or what did you say?
No. Go ahead.
What I heard her say was, your wife is out there. And which we were estranged. My husband's out there. You just need to go behave yourself and go back where you belong. Is that what was said?
No, that is not what was said.
So what was said?
I said, yes, your wife is out there. She's still married. My husband's out there, and so far we're still in love. We're still in that romantic stage. I said, so this can't go anywhere right now. Right now. I didn't say it can go to wherever. I said, but right now it can't go nowhere.
So you did see something in him that you
I did.
I think that was probably one of the first times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. And
me and my ex-husband, we weren't having problems, but we were starting to grow apart. We got married way too young, we didn't have those discussions back then. This was in the early 90s, and we didn't have those discussions. We were fresh out of high school and that kind of stuff. So we started just growing apart. I was growing up and he kind of wasn't, and so we were. And
the one thing about Joan too is Joan's family was not very touchy-feely. There wasn't my daddy told me he loved me every day of my life, until he died. My mom wasn't very much an I love you person, but I always knew I was loved and cared for. Her parents felt like as long as there was a roof over your head and the lights were on, there was food on the table, that you should know you were loved. Mm-hmm. So she didn't know how to have those discussions, So when Jeff showed interest in her, and he was a very nice guy, he still is to this day, and they started dating, it was like the next step, without knowing how to get to that step. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how we work. So down the road a few months, and we're opening up a new restaurant, and I threw a barbecue for all my managers. And she had come because everybody was invited, but so I noticed that I would go out to the grill and she would come out to the grill and talk to me. I would go in the house and get something and she'd follow me in the house and talk to me. And one of the guys said, dude, so she, this isn't the words I use, but she's macking you hard, and I'm like, yeah, Joan, right, yeah. I've been chasing that for the last 5 years. Trust me, I'll know it ain't happening. No, I think she's in you. I'm like, no, she's not. And that's kind of when things started getting started. And they had gotten separated. Karen and I was telling them this story earlier. Karen and I decided to get married, sitting around the table or sitting around the living room one night. And I said, a lot of our friends are getting married. This person is getting married. That person is getting married. I said, and your dad was giving me a rash of whatever the other night because he wants me to make you an honest woman. And she said, yeah, we should probably be thinking about it. I said, so you think you want to get married? And she said, sure, let's do that. That was our whole proposal romance thing, right? So it just, and when we got divorced, when we separated, it was kind of the same way. It was kind of like, this really isn't working. I love you and you love me and we're great friends. And I think if we hadn't gotten married, we might have lived together for a long time. But there were so many differences and we just kind of, I wouldn't even say grew apart. It was just, we both had different designs on life. And that's where it took us.
Different paths that you were supposed to take. I was friends with Karen, and I still love her. She's a great woman, but looking at them now, they were on different paths in their lives. She was going one way, and Curtis was going the other way, and so it just kind of, it was very amicable. It was, you know,
and the thing
this
about
is what we should do now, like getting married. Well, we should get married. Well, now we should get divorced.
Yeah, and her parents were very much the same way, and they were very methodical, right? So, you know, we were supposed to be married for X number of time, buy a house. We bought a house. Then you're supposed to have X number of children. And then we were supposed to move to Louisiana and move to where the family had all their land and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Nobody said a thing about moving to Louisiana. I'm not moving out there with all you couillons. I'm not doing that. And I love the family, but it was like, again, things we hadn't talked about, which is this is something important, guys, in your relationship. When you're getting started, you got to have those conversations, which, you know, you guys were talking about earlier. You had those conversations. You friended yourselves for a while.
I think that made a difference.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump right into
No, go ahead. Absolutely.
That's all I want to interrupt your story. I just wanted to say that I tell everybody that I think it was because of us friending each other and getting to know each other instead of just, because I mean, I'm full male. When I first met her, she was beautiful. Naturally, I just wanted to jump her, you know.
That was the thing, yeah.
But we got to know each other.
Yeah.
So that made a difference.
And it does. It makes all the difference in the world. And everybody dates in different ways. There's no right way or wrong way. Like I said, when I tell people our story, and they're like, "Oh, so you're one of those, love at first sight people," and I'm like, I wasn't until I met Joan. I just knew. I knew that day. And this is a funny thing. For years, she used to, whenever I would tell that story, she'd say, "God, I hate that story. I hate it when you tell that story." So one night, after way too many of these, I got really pissed off, because that's what you do in relationships. Sometimes you get pissed off. And I said, it really hurts my feelings when you say you hate my story. I said, I don't get that. I don't understand. And she said, I hate the story because I feel bad that I didn't fall in love with you like you fell in love with me. And I was like, well, hell, that ain't your fault. The universe didn't speak that to you. You had to grow into that. And she wasn't ready for that. She wasn't mature enough for that. I'm 10 years older than she is almost. So she wasn't ready for that. And once I found that out, it made perfect sense. Okay, you weren't ready for our story. Now, when you got ready for it, because we're all smart enough to know that if she'd have walked away with me that day, it probably would have never worked, because we weren't ready for that. The universe had to catch up with us, and we had to catch up with it. And I think that's what's really important.
But we had those hard conversations, because coming from, I didn't have an amicable divorce. It was very contested. It was very heated. And so I was not going to repeat that at all. I did not want that. I was not going to go through that again. I refused.
Absolutely.
So we had long conversations. And the final one that got me that said, yeah, I'll take that leap of faith. My daughter Megan is my heart. And I told him, I said, if it came down to you and her, guess what, buddy? You're out of here. My daughter comes first over anybody in this world. Now my granddaughter will, but she comes first over anybody in the world.
Just so y'all know, Megan's really not that special. She's average.
She is.
Okay, she
is. And he said, if it's right for you to go back to your ex-husband and raise that child together as a family, I will leave you now and never
bother you again.
Never bother you again. And for a man to say that, to go back to another man, like that that hit my heart. Like, he's willing to do that. Like, he's willing to give me up so I can have my child.
Right. It wasn't about giving her up. It was about making her happy. If that's what you have to do to be happy, if that's what makes you happy, and that in turn makes Megan happy, then that's how it has to be.
Right.
Right. That's the end of the story.
Otherwise, you're going to continue to kind of bump,
exactly.
different things.
And that's what I told him. I said, if it comes down to that, I said, the same thing with you. He has a daughter from a previous relationship. And I told him, I said, that is one thing I will never get in between you and her.
Mm-hmm.
That is your child. That is your love. That is yours. I said, and that is one thing I will never do. I'm not going to come between a father and a daughter. That if it's her or me, guess what? It's going to be her. And if I have to make that decision for you, I will make that decision for you. I'm like, because that's just not going to happen.
Those are two very mature decisions y'all made. Two very mature decisions.
Again, and a lot of people fault you for this, but I had been married 3 times. My first marriage, you know, and you don't want to speak ill of anybody, but her mom and daddy told me not to marry her. Both her sisters told me not to marry her. There were issues there, but when you're 20 years old, you think love conquers everything, right? You think you can cure people, you can make them better, you can change them. That didn't happen, and she's a wonderful person now in her own right. She has a family now. She has a husband. They're doing wonderful, and that's great, and I'm happy for her. But for us, it was 8 years of almost daily arguing and contention and just heartache every single day. And so, like when I got with Karen, because Karen she's Cajun, right? She's from Louisiana, and she had a temper on her. And buddy, she'd fly off and she'd want to fight, and I wouldn't fight. And I'm like, look, I spent the last 8 years of my life fighting. I'm not doing that anymore. Right, you can be pissed off as you want to be. You can be as happy as you want to be, but I'm not doing that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that was almost a worse fight than fighting sometimes, because I couldn't be about that life anymore. So by the time she and I got together, we had got to the point where we knew we just wanted to be happy, right? We just wanted to be happy. What have you guys felt when you guys got together? You know, because you've been divorced. Was this your first marriage?
No, this is my second.
Your second. So you're both on your second marriage. Right. What would you say were some of the biggest struggles that you encountered?
In the first marriage?
No, the second one. When we got
together, what did you have to overcome?
I tell you something. I got to say it was, you know, and I got to bring up my first marriage to answer that question.
Sure, absolutely.
And I look at it. I'm kind of big, ugly, burly guy, but you know, I'm real intimate, and I love to be snuggled up with my wife, you know. And the first marriage, we were together 25 years, in a total of 25 years, and we were separated, you know, years at a time in between there. So, but it was just kind of like nothing never came between us. We just lost that love, and I say we lost that. Actually, I felt like she lost that love and feeling, right. You know. I come home from work and I was a narcotics detective. So sometimes I get called out certain times of night or whatever. And I played a lot of sports. So I'd be going playing sports 3 or 4 nights a week. And we had 2 kids. And you know, at the time I thought I was doing everything the right way because I was taking care of home financially. Sure. You know, and I took my kids to school every day from the time they were born to the time they were graduated. I pretty much took them to school every morning. They never rode a bus and never, you know, they rode in the backseat of my car. Right. So, you know, I was making sure I was trying to invest in my kids. And I guess I just want to invest enough in her. I knew she was a good person. She raised my kids just the way, you know, that we wanted them to be raised and everything. I never took a lot of time. I guess as we started having kids, I was leaving the kids home with her a lot. And I guess that was frustrating. It took for us to split up for me to see that. Right. So that's why I said I had to go back and talk about that. I learned from those mistakes. You know, I learned from my mistakes as far as, of course, all our kids are grown. Donna and I, all our kids are grown. When I met her, my kids were grown. Right. So it was a lot easier. We didn't have kids to have to worry about, you know, other than just picking up the phone and talking to them and saying, okay, well, yeah, we'll do this, do that. We didn't have kids running in around the house or whatever. So it made it a lot easier for me. And like I said, I learned from my mistakes. I know I had to invest time in with of course, I got older and knees are getting a little worse anyway. So, but I still, you know, was still active in sports and everything. But I made sure I invested time in with her, and we would go home and we would be. People say it all the time about us. They see the love between us because we'd be out in public and we'd be snuggled up. Right. We're home. We're snuggled up. Nobody around us. We're snuggled up. So it's not for show. Right. It's because of the actual feeling. So, and like I said earlier, to this day, her and I have never really had a strong disagreement, an argument. Right. So it's just been peaches and cream with us, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that her temperament and my temperament. I don't know her temperament because I've never seen it. I should say my temperament. My temperament was one that, you know. Obviously, she is not from Long Island. Anyway, I'm just saying. She's from the South, so Georgia. She's from the South, I'm a Georgia girl, you know. So you know. But anyway, it's just we would, you know, if we had a disagreement, we'd sit there and we'll talk. Right. And but it just the way it's worked out with us, the 6 years we've been together, 4 going on 5 of them being married. Right. Like, so I guess it's going to be 7 years that we've known each other. So, but anyway, we just never got to that boiling point where we would argue with each other. You know, you talked it out first. And you didn't get to that point. We will talk about it, but the thing about it is, we don't even get to that point where we have disagreements, right. Which is crazy to me. We've had maybe 2, maybe 3 disagreements our whole time together, and it's coming up on 7 years. So
That's awesome.
I think we've had one major blowout.
We had one major blowout. That takes a whole other show to go into.
that's gonna take the full hour.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other. And again, it was all me, and it was a friend
No,
of mine.
it wasn't you.
Well,
now that I
yeah.
Now that I got over
I had a high school friend,
that-
been friends since high school, and
He's-
one whole we're not
yeah.
friends. You know, it's funny because we're not friends anymore now. And one day somebody asked me, because I was talking about this particular friend of mine, and he's always leading me down a bad path. And somebody asked me, they said, so if you met this person today, would y'all be friends? I said, oh hell no. And they said, well, then why are you friends? I said, well, because I've known him since I was 17 years old. We were boys back in the day. I mean, we've been through some stuff. And they were like, but is that worth it? And I went, okay, well, maybe not. It really wasn't. And it wasn't worth the contention that it caused between me and her. And he was probably one of our largest sources of contention for years and years and years. So we had to get away from that. But that's, like I said, that's a whole nother story. So,
but you minimize those relationships. You got to look, is that healthy to bring a friend in or something like that? If that, you got to make that decision. Is it the love that you have or we have versus a friend that, obviously is a bad seed in your relationship. You don't want to do that.
And that something between us, most of our friends are married.
It's nice.
Most of our friends are both married. So it's not like, we don't hang out with a lot of single people. People that are single, they are mature minded people.
Right. Yeah.
So I think like Joan just said, your friends play a big role.
Oh yeah.
And you have to pick mature people to hang out with or whatever.
And plus the people you hang out with, I don't know if y'all watch, but you hang out with the Foxworths. They have a great love story. I mean, Greg and Gina.
Yeah,
I mean, my God, you can't find two people who love more than Greg and Gina. Mark and Mary, they have a great love story.
Mary and I went to high school together too.
Really?
Yeah. Mary and I went to high school together.
And we talked about this earlier. My friend Mark, he was a player. He was the pretty boy. I've always been a dork. Mark was a pretty boy. He had the fly back hair. He was a man. And he comes in one day talking about this girl he met at KFC. Her name was Mary. And boy, you could just see it all over his face. I said, dude, you are done. You are done. He said, oh, no, it ain't like that. And I'm like, oh, bro, you done. And he was. He's done. They've been together ever since. I think they kind of drifted apart a little bit, got back together through moving. But, I mean, they've been together all these years. They got 3 beautiful daughters. I don't know, like 127 grandchildren. I don't know. Like the Waltons look at them and go, damn, you got a lot of children. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, it's a great story for them. So you hang around with like-minded people. And that's one of the first things I noticed about you guys when we met at the Foxworth, we friended each other on Facebook, because that's what you do now. You friend each other on Facebook. And I just started looking at the way that you talked about her, the way you put her. And a lot of people think this is sexist or what the hell ever. And you can, if you hold on a minute, if you got a few extra minutes, kiss my ass. He put these girls. He puts her on a pedestal, right? Like he honors her every single day as his helpmeet, right? As his queen, as his princess, whatever. And I noticed that as in being in the same way I do Joan.
Right.
And like today, I put that thing on there today. I said, I was a dorky, snaggletooth white boy who weighed barely 100 pounds most of my life. And I am now married to this gorgeous woman. And it doesn't matter on a daily basis. If it's not a dude, it's a girl hitting on her every single day who are like, oh my God, your wife is so fabulous. She's so wonderful. I'm like, I'm still in the room right here.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I'm right here. Nikki, you're a good one. My friend Nikki right here. She's like, oh my God, I love your wife so much. I was at Oakley today doing an interview with one of mine to get a new member on my team. Jasmine says, oh, and his wife works for us. Oh my God, I love his wife. She's so fabulous. She's so wonderful. I need to call her. But it makes me proud to be married to a woman like that. Mm-hmm. That everybody honors, everybody respects. And those are the things that, make it worthwhile,
Mm-hmm. I got people on Facebook that just the other day, and I get what you're saying. I mean, I say about Donna. I feel honored still to be married to her.
Absolutely.
But I got friends that will, they put on that other night, we go meet some friends at Southern Grill every Friday, and it's about 8 of us total, 4 couples. We'll sit there and we'll talk. Bobby Farrer and his wife Sharon, they came on and said the other night, first Amber Craig's wife came on and said, Kim, you're lucky. You married to Donna, you're lucky. And then Sharon followed her up and said, yeah, she's very lucky. I said, well, What am I chopping?
Yeah, right.
You know, but they're right. They're absolutely right.
Y'all look good.
And y'all do a great job of it. You do a great job of it. My wife makes me look very good.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people that all the time. So I know when Curtis asked the question about me, I know you didn't get a chance to speak. So she's a quiet time trying to get her to talk.
Remember, we're all just sitting around talking. Don't
That's
worry
right.
about any of that over there. It's just us talking.
She don't have to talk. She don't
No,
want
she
to.
does not.
Don't embarrass her. Be her.
Am I answering the question to struggles? Or?
The question you asked me that I started talking and I forgot going way
I
off.
think it was,
on
you know,
things.
the struggles in your relationship. What did you guys have that struggle? Were there any struggles? What do you feel like was the hardest part of that relationship?
For me, in my previous marriage, and I have one son from that marriage. He will be 27 in August. And for me, we dealt with a lot of inside people constantly on his side, always trying to be a part of our different decisions.
Right.
And at some point in the relationship, it kind of was more like roommates than a husband and wife relationship.
It's common.
Absolutely.
It got to the point where it was a same routine every single day. Come home from work, hey, he in the den, I'm in the room. So most of the time, I didn't see him again until I got up to go to work the next morning.
Right.
And that was the routine, and it just, the feelings just kind of like just drifted away.
Yeah.
Same with my
You
marriage.
don't, it's not the fact of not loving the person, because you're going to always have love for them.
Absolutely.
Even when you're not with them, because one, y'all share a child. But that love, that I'm in love with you, and I had like lost it like a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. And the other part, I think, with the struggle with my previous relationship that I don't have now is the fact that I can go to him and talk to him, and it's not like it's a bother.
Right.
Because that's what my situation was in my previous relationship, was when I went to you and I would express how I was feeling about us or anything, it was like an issue for you, like I was bothering you.
Right.
And I felt like instead of just trying to brushing me off, you should have wanted to say, hey, well, what is it that we can do, or what is it that's bothering you, or what can we do to try to fix this?
Absolutely.
I haven't had that. That's the good thing about the relationship I have with Kim, is I can go to him and talk to him about anything, and he is supportive.
Yeah.
I didn't have that support.
And I agree. And you know, I think with Joan and I, it's just a unified front. You know, I mean, I love my mom to death. I loved her mom and dad to death, but we always knew if anything came down to it, it was always going to be us. You know, because your folks are going to pass at some point. You know, your children are going to do what your children are going to do, but we're always going to be together. And this is one thing I preach a lot when I talk to couples about relationship. And Megan, if you're listening, pay attention, because a lot of couples, when they have that child, especially the mom, and I know I'm not trying to sound sexist, but especially the mom, her whole attention will turn to those children, right? And it's all about just raising those children, and the husband's just kind of there in the background. And then 18 years passes, and that child goes off to college, or they go do their own thing, and there's two strangers living in a house. And then what happens is it's like, I don't even know you anymore. And I think one of the things that Joan and I have always been really good at is, whether Megan was with us, whether Heather and Megan were with us, whether Heather was with us, which is my child, whatever that situation was, we were always together. Everybody always knew we were a united front. We were a team. Like you guys said, when we sit on the couch, like, now that one over there's got a little space in the middle, but usually if they had that big couch there, usually like her foot is over here on me, and we're watching TV, and I'm just rubbing on her feet. You know, I'm rubbing her
We're
legs.
just touching each other.
We
We
are.
don't have to be all snuggled up and all that. I'm very hot, so it's like, oh my God,
She's
you're
totally
making
hot.
me sweat. Like,
Oh, you mean
don't
sweaty.
touch me. You're making
yeah.
me sweat. I can't do that. So we'll
She's sweaty too.
constantly just like, you know, I'll rub his hand, or he'll rub my feet or something. But we can be doing two totally opposite things. I'll be watching TV, he'll be reading his book or whatever he does on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that, whatever. and it's just, we can be in the same room doing two totally opposite things and still be in love with each other.
Yeah.
And not,
We're the same way too.
Yeah.
We'll actually be out in public sometimes, and she's sitting across the table from me. I reach over, grab her foot, and be sitting there talking to people, rubbing their feet.
Yeah,
it's fine.
As long as you touch every once in a while, because that's intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have bedroom intimacy and all that, but intimacy starts in the morning when you're brushing your teeth together, when you're, getting ready to go to work, or that little text message during the day, hey, I love you. That's intimacy. If you have that during the day, then everything else at night is gonna, come to fruition. You don't.
It's very rare when we're in the house together, and she gets up out of the room to walk in I sit in this chair in my room instead of sitting on the bed. So it's very rare if she gets up to go in the kitchen or something. She walks past me that I don't reach out and slap on the butt.
If you ain't,
it's
even
very
married,
rare.
I mean, I'm sorry. She'll and this might be oversharing. If you don't like it, you can rule. But she will literally, and she's like, "Is everything all right?" I'm like, "I just had a really hard day at work," and she'll just flash me, and I'm like, "Okay, now my day is all better." If that doesn't make your day better, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but we had a couple. We met a new couple when we lived in Atlanta. We met a new couple. We moved to Atlanta, and the sweet couple. We're still super friends with him now. And he's a little bit more stoic. He's been in the military.
Military special ops.
Don't get me wrong that he loves his wife and he loves his children. He's a great man. He's a great friend of mine. But so me and him were out grilling one night, around the patio, around the deck, whatever. We're grilling and stuff. And
we had just met. We've
only been friends
a couple
3-4
months.
Maybe,
yeah.
And he's like, "Bro, I got to ask you a question." I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Can you do me a favor?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Can you just roll it down a little bit? Can you tone it down some?" And I'm like, "What?" He said, "All I hear from my wife now is Curtis and Joni this, Curtis and Joni that. Curtis did this for Joni. Joni did that for Curtis. They went and did this and they went for that." And I dead looked him in the eyes and I said, "Or you could step your game up.
Boom.
Yeah.
Whichever one you prefer."
Yeah.
I'm not rolling back my game.
Yeah.
I said, because that right there is my all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people when they laugh, I said, she's my first thought in the morning. She's my last thought at night. I said, but that's what I live for every day. I said, so, you can step your game up. And when you talk about the love languages, everybody have their love languages. That's not his thing. I mean, he's one of those, and if he provides for his family and he makes a good home, and those things are important,
Right.
But he was raised with his parents to feel like that's how you show your love, Like you said, how I show my love is I slap her on the ass when she walks by. That everything is different. Everything's relative. Yep. So
I mean, and she's the same way. I walk past, she either slap me on the butt or pinching on the butt or something. We can be in public, and we can be in Publix or a grocery store or something, and I walk up there and slap her on the butt or just
Could we not in the middle of the grocery store? Hello.
Hey.
Nope.
I'm sorry for the people around me, but that's just how we do.
Yeah.
That's just how we do. So, it's just, it's not for me to walk up to her and give her an oil check, So, that's just
That's exactly
Making sure it's all still there in the right place.
That's the way we are, so.
It is. So, we went through a really hard spot back in 2008. We'll talk about this a little bit. This is how, because relationships, guys, like we talked about earlier, it's not all Valentine's. It's not all flowers and balloons. Sometimes you go through some really dark shit in your relationships, and you guys haven't really went through that. You've had you've only been together 5 years, and I never thought we would go through this. What I didn't, for years, my wife suffered from crippling depression. Okay, I grew up as probably you did. We grew up in an era where we were told that you just got better. Men didn't you just pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. You went to work. Men didn't get depression. You just had to you just had to get over it.
Right. Men don't cry.
Exactly. Men don't cry. And so I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know the signs. Like for years, if we were having this relationship right now, us talking and having a good time, by the time y'all got out the door and got to your car, she'd be sound asleep. If we got in the car to go somewhere, by the time I got out that gate, got the gate parkway, she'd be in the car sound asleep. Because that was her coping mechanism. She'd go to sleep.
It's the only thing that I knew.
She'd go to sleep. So Easter 2008, we have a whole house full of people, and we had this whole thing on Sunday. All these people are over, and Joan's the kind of person I've seen her go to work sick as a dog, hardly able to move. She gets up to go to work every day. That morning after,
that was Friday, I did that because I don't remember Easter.
That's right.
I still don't remember. I remember coming home Friday, calling him and telling him I was sick and I was coming home from work, which I don't do.
She'd never done it, and she came home that day. And she went upstairs, she got into bed, she covered her head up, and she stayed in bed the whole weekend until Easter Sunday. She came down. She was the perfect Italian hostess, the perfect Italian wife. We fed everybody. Everybody was fine. We had a great time. As soon as they left, she went right back to bed. So Monday morning, the company I worked for, they had one of those employee assistance programs, right, where you could call somebody. And I called this nurse, and I said, look, I don't know what's going on, but my wife won't get out of bed. I think she's depressed, blah, blah, blah. And they said, we were in Connecticut at the time. And so we
right
get you
right near Yale,
Yale New Haven. Yale New Haven Hospital,
one of the best hospitals in the country.
We can get you in to see somebody in about 2 months. That's it.
2 months.
Yeah, I don't. She said, well, the only other thing you can do is take her to a emergency room. So I take her to the emergency room at Yale New Haven Hospital, which again is one of the greatest hospitals in the country. Now the thing about it is if I take her in and she's having a heart attack, they will tell me everything I need to know. If I take her in because she broke her ankle, they'll tell me everything I need. When you take them in and it's a depression or a mental health issue, they don't tell you shit. But at that point, they don't tell you anything. They wouldn't tell me anything. So she's back in this room for a while. A couple hours, she comes back out, and she's like, we're going home. And I'm like, what's going on? They said, she said nothing wrong with her. She wants to go home. And I'm like, okay. So we go home, and same thing. She goes back to bed, and things aren't getting any better. So I keep calling. I'm calling. So finally, they find this one woman who can see us, and she's not even a nurse. She's like a nurse practitioner or something, I believe.
She was just a therapist.
A therapist.
She didn't prescribe anything. She wasn't a psychiatrist. She was just somebody to talk to.
Yeah. So we go and see her, and she told me, she said she is clinically depressed. She needs to be in somewhere where she can be observed because she's gonna do something. And I said, well, I can't get her. She said, well, listen. She said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. She said, well, what you need to do is take her back to Yale New Haven and tell them that she tried to hurt herself, whether she has or whether she hasn't. Those are the only words that can get them to pay attention. So I took them there and I told them that. Now, this is in 2008. She sat on a bench in a hallway from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 o'clock in the morning. They gave her a banana and an orange juice all day long, and then put her in a van and took her to a psychiatric hospital. And when I called, they said, hey, we want to let you know that your wife got taken to this place. And I said, where did she go? They said, we can't tell you.
Can't tell the husband?
Yeah. Not when it's not. So it was a huge ordeal. But now, so anyway.
My husband, who has the gift of gab.
That's a whole other story.
That's why he's the big coach.
Yes. I got myself into that hospital and got myself into the doctor's office, and we had a meeting. And she was in there for 2 weeks under lockdown. And after that, she went through a month of extensive therapy, day after day after day, of all these meetings and different things. And I'm saying all that to say this, because those were some rough times. I laid in my bed every night not knowing what the hell was going to happen the next day, not knowing where my wife was, what was going on, what her mental state was.
That would drove me crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible.
Crazy.
But all I knew was that I had to be there every morning, so if that phone rang, that I could be there for her. And so those are the decisions that you make when you make that decision to be together, and got her on some medication that's helped her. We've went through a lot of things. And that was, like I said, 2008. Here we are in 2021. We're stronger than ever. We wake up every day. We go to work. We love each other. But, a lot of husbands, at that point, I know a lot of men who would have just ducked out.
Yeah.
Because, I won't lie, it was hard. I got a call from work. I'm at work. She has locked herself in the bathroom. She's hiding in the bathroom cabinet, screaming and yelling because she thinks somebody's after her, And I don't know what to do because I wasn't raised like this. I don't know how to react. All I know is I have to be there, right? So those are some dark times in a relationship. The only thing I knew was that I loved her and I wanted to be there every minute, So it's not all going to be champagne and roses. It's not all going to be good times, There are a lot of things that go through, and you've got to be ready for all those in a relationship. And if you're not, you need to ask yourself, are you really ready for that relationship? Especially if you're one of the ones that's taking the next step into getting married, or those kind of things.
That honestly came out of nowhere. I had suppressed it. I had worked through it in my own way. I had, people would be like, "What, are you kidding me? You're years of, you work and do everything and blah, 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 blah." And so something triggered it. Whatever it was, I was under a lot of stress at work. I was under super stress at work. And so that triggered all these thoughts and all this stuff that I had suppressed for years and years.
So you can be totally functional and still have that
Oh yeah,
that issue.
I am clinically diagnosed with major depressive disorder with psychotic tendencies and PTSD.
Like I said, if we were here tonight, like if this was 2007, we were here tonight, you guys would leave and say, damn, Joan's the life of the party. She is the most amazing woman we ever met. But by the time y'all got into your car and drove off, she'd be sound asleep on that couch over there or in bed with her head covered up, gone. And I had learned to live with that because I thought that was normal. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Because it was her normal, right? And so I didn't fight against that because that's how she coped. I didn't know she was coping. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Right.
But like when she was up and on, everything was great. You know, we had a great relationship. You know, it was very, very difficult, especially when you're a guy like me who grew up in an era where you didn't know. And that's a lot of what made me want to be a coach is when I saw that happening. And I found, you know, when you start talking to this about people, you find so many people who are the same way, who had these issues, and they have no idea who to talk to.
Cope with each other, didn't know how to support each other. I mean, he didn't know how to support me because he didn't understand, but he learned. He did the research. It takes a lot. I mean, I did research. He did research, so we can still come together and still be us, just better on the other end.
Right.
And she says all the time that she's a lot. She says, I know I'm a lot, you know, and
I am. I'm not super high maintenance, but I'm a lot. I get it. I do.
And again, it's because she's again, she's not super affectionate because she didn't come up in that environment, right? So she's learned to be. But when we were first together, I know I smothered her, and she would physically push me away, just like, Jesus Christ, you're just driving me crazy, you know. And
you're like, stop touching me.
and in the beginning, it really hurt because, you know, like my second wife was the exact opposite. She was very touchy feely, you know. So I was like crushed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I married this woman who don't want me to touch her. What the hell? You tell me she's my soulmate, and I'm supposed to be with her forever, and show me to touch her. You know what's going on. But that was.
I don't know if I can survive that because I'm so used to, you know, us being underneath each other and her touching me touching her. You know, it'd be hard to be in a relationship without that. So.
And this sounds bad, but when it was good for her, she could. But a lot of that was because of what she was going through in her mind. You know, it got to be pressure for her. You know, and so it took a lot of going through. It took a lot of working to get to that point where, and even now, there's times when she has to just like, okay, you know, you have to stop. You know, even with the medication, sometimes I know I can be a lot. Y'all probably don't believe that, but I can be a lot. You know, so you really have to know each other's triggers. You have to learn each other's ups and downs. You know,
we've learned that we work together, we live together. We're together 24/7 most of the time. And you know, we got to the point where when we were working together in storage, and I'd be like, you know what? Isn't there something you can be doing other than be in my office right now? Like, you're just irking that last little nerve. You're going to have to find something to do. Or I'm leaving and I'm going to go clean something because I can't be with you right now.
And in the beginning, when we were first together, that would hurt my feelings. You know, I'm like, how can you not want to be with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? You know, versus, you know, sometimes, you know, now you realize that, okay, you have to go away for a few minutes, you know. And it's not that we don't want to be together. It's that sometimes there's just you filled that quota, you know. You
know, that's something you brought that up because Dawn and I both worked at the public defender's office. And she went to work at 5 a.m. during that time. She was going to work at 5 a.m, got off at 3? And I would come in around noonish sometimes, even though it's supposed to be around 8.
Oh, so you was a banker.
I can say that now that I don't work there anymore, you know. But anyway, and then when she leaves at 3, I will leave too. I mean, but we would get to work, and when I get to work, first thing we do, we go to lunch together, and you know, we hang out at lunch together for an hour, maybe 2, maybe 3, you know.
Yeah.
But we do our lunch together,
you are bad.
And then we would you know, we go back to work, and we, you know, hitting each other up on the phone.
Right.
Then when she leaves, I leave with her. You know, okay, maybe I might be a little bit later than that, walking out with her, you know, and. That's how it was. We got home. We were underneath each other at home. Yeah. It just never got old to me. I was, you know, the love was just there. When we first got together, we would lay in the bed and we literally go to sleep like her face right here, mine right here. You know, that's how we would go to sleep at night. You know, and
God, I know. Please on me.
That's how it was. You know.
And this was something that we went through. This is funny, guys. This is something we went through because, like, I was always raised. I don't get raised, but like when I got married, my first wife, we slept under the same covers. And when I married my second wife, through the first 2 years, that we dated, before we ever got married, all she had in her apartment was a single bed. We slept on a single bed. I was a lot smaller then. Stop. So I was a lot smaller, and we slept on a single bed. So we always had just have one cover. So when we got together, she's like, "We can't sleep under one cover." And I'm like, "But that's what married people do. If you sleep under two, if you have different covers, you don't love each other. You're not married." And she's like, "We'll do it your way." Lord have mercy. I'd go to bed. We'd both be under the covers. I'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning. All the covers would be on top of me. She'd be butt naked on her side. No cover on her whatsoever. I'd wake up at 4:00 in the morning. I'd be butt naked with no cover on me. She's wrapped up like a damn burrito over there. I'm freezing. I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. We made it a few months. Now we sleep under separate covers, and all is well.
I did it with my ex-husband. He was the same way. I'm like, I am a rough sleeper.
She is
I am a very rough sleeper, and I always have been. And I'm telling you, this is just me. It's going to happen. So I'm just warning you.
Yeah, don't take offense to it.
Yeah,
don't take offense to it. I'm a very rough sleeper, and
that's one of those things that we had to learn about each other, And like I said, for the first few months, I was crushed that we didn't sleep under the same cover. Like, this ain't gonna last. We ain't gonna stay married. Now I'm like, I'm gonna need you to slide over just a little bit, okay? Because you all up in my personal space right here.
We have to literally. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's like you can see where my covers are and where his covers are. I'm like,
all right, guys, it is 55 minutes we've been doing this. I hope you've enjoyed it. What do you guys have anything to say in closing? Not like she just busting to say something.
I'll just say, try and talk things out. I had a guy tell me one time in my first marriage, and I know time is short. No. But when you get into it and you have a disagreement, go to the table. One sit on one side, one go sit on the other side, and you talk things out. It's kind of like a structured way of trying to work out this argument. You go sit on one side. That lasted with me about 3 times, and it was, I'll be totally honest. It lasted about 3 times, and I said, this ain't, we're doing the same thing we did sitting on the sofa. But anyway, just try to talk things out. I'm thankful that I'm in a relationship now where, we're on the same page on just about everything, which is different from me. We're on the same page about everything. We don't argue. And I think we're at that point. I learned that from my first relationship. Don't entertain the argument. Just wait till if you can't talk about it now, say, hey, I'll talk to you and when we can sit down and talk. Right. That might take 30 minutes, it might take hours, it might take a day. Yeah. But it's worth waiting and then talking to each other about it, and then you can laugh about it later.
Exactly.
So
when I went to I graduated from HCI, the Health Coach Institute, and I went to a convention kind of thing we had in 2019. And so the CEO came into the company, and he's like, what is one thing that you're very happy about now, or happy that happened to you that you never thought you would be? And I was thinking, and it came to me, it was my first marriage. And people's like, well, damn, you've been married to this girl for 25 years and the thing that makes you happy is your first marriage. It is, because it taught me so much. Mm-hmm. It taught me how I'm not ever going to be treated again. It taught me how I'm not ever going to treat somebody else again. It taught me what my boundaries were. Like I said, we fought every day for 8 years, and I realized I wasn't going to do that anymore. And so it gave me healthy habits to take into a new relationship that has made us successful. Like I said, this year we celebrate 25 years. She's already
congratulations on that, by the way.
She has already booked our room in Charleston for our anniversary trip. She's booked a photographer. We're doing all this fun. She starts planning, like when we get done with this vacation, she starts planning the next one. And I can't be happier about that, because I know that means she's excited about us. It's not always going to be, guys, it's not always going to be roses and champagne. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be bad times. There's going to we've went through death. We've went through sorrow. We've had family members literally murdered. And I know you have too. I know you went through some really hard things. Mm-hmm. We have had death of our parents and these kind of things. But the only thing that I know I've always had to look to at the end of the day was her. If I didn't have anything else, I always had her under her own covers. But whatever, we won't go there. But I always had her, and that was the important thing. We always had each other. So guys, hit us up in the comments if you're watching this on replay. Right in, hit us on replay. Hit those like buttons, hit those hearts. Let us know. We're going to be boosting this up a little bit, get some more people to see it. We appreciate you. We love you. 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to be talking to Coach Beth Ann. We're going to hear about her and her husband. She calls him the boss. I'm getting to the bottom of that. I don't know why. I try to get Joan to call me some things, and that don't work. So Anyway, we love you. We appreciate you from all these guys. Thank you and good night.
Thanks for the great dinner tonight that he provided for us.
I forgot to talk about my little
Oh, well,
program.
you'll be all
Are
right.
we still on? We might be still on. I don't know if we're still on or not.
Usually she ends ours with letting us know it's ended, so you might still be on.
Guys, if we are still on, that's my relationship. Yeah, we're here. This is my relationship rescue for $149. I will try to help you out with your relationship. It's a 1-hour call. It's some 4-time follow-up so that we can get you started on a better and a happier and a more productive relationship. Good night. Thank you for joining us on the Play Bigger podcast. Coach Curtis is dedicated to helping you grow, thrive, and excel. Playing bigger is more than a tagline, it's a lifestyle. So be sure to tune in every other week for more from the Play Bigger Coach. And check us out online at www.playbigcoach.com. There you can schedule your free 1-hour Play Big strategy session. We look forward to seeing you soon.